If you've ever wondered what it takes to be a fashion designer, what are the things that I need to learn? What are the subjects that I need to know? Maybe you're starting your journey of being a self-taught designer and you don't have money to go to fashion school. This is the right place for you. My name is Priscilla and welcome to my channel. There's always this discourse online or social media or TikTok among designers about whether one is a designer or a fashion designer or a tailor. And some people say, oh, if you're making other people's clothes, if you're copying other people's designs, then you're not a fashion designer, you're a tailor. Well, I'm going to give you all the things that you need to know and need to be doing to be a fashion designer. So if you already know these things and you do them in your business, I'm happy to inform you that you're a fashion designer. But if you feel like there are some of the things, maybe one or two of the subjects you don't really know so well, or you need to brush up your skills on, I will be giving you a list of the subjects. Remember 12 to 15 years ago, when I first started my journey to learning about fashion design, I didn't have so many resources. I didn't know where to look. The internet was not like this, like back then, like the way we have so many creators on this platform and on so many other social media platforms. Like it wasn't like this back then where you can immediately get responses or know what is really going on in an industry, especially when you don't have money to go to a formal school for formal education on that particular topic or subject. It was really difficult for me. I remember I had this like little phone that could just use the internet, and I would like, and it was only just browsing we could do to browse back there with Opera Mini, and I would like browse on end like throughout the day, throughout the night, and trying to figure out like what do I really need to learn so that I can start teaching myself how to do it. Well, if you are, well, you shouldn't even be in that same situation because we have advanced beyond that. Like technology has advanced beyond that now. If you're like that and you need someone to teach you what it takes to be a fashion designer from the beginning, well, as a beginner, you have come to the right channel. So please subscribe and click on the notification bell. Well, I think I've been rambling enough. So without further ado, let's get to the video. The first topic you need to learn about in fashion school, or you really need to know, well, I'm just going to be listing them. It's not in an order of importance, like whichever one. The 10 might be the first that you pick to start with. The 6th might be the first that you pick to start with. The first subject is pattern making or pattern drafting. Pattern making or pattern drafting is where you take the measurements of your client or your model and you use it as the building blocks for your garments. Actually, without pattern making or pattern drafting, you can't sew any garment. It is a very technical side of fashion because you really have to be detailed, because this is where you get the sizing, the fit, and the shape of your garments using your client or your model's measurements. This is a place where you learn about that. If you ever heard of that, there you learn about pleats, any kind of talks, any kind of dart manipulations. This is where you learn them. If you're a good pattern maker, chances are that your clothes, your garments will fit very nicely on your client. The next thing you'll be learning about is clothing construction, or you call it garment construction or sewing. And this is really what we learn, most of us, when we go to a roadside tailor. Like I went to a roadside tailor for apprenticeship for a period of time, and that was how I was able to support myself with my self-taught learning as a designer. If you went to a roadside tailor to learn, this is probably the part of fashion that is being taught, because this aspects is where you learn about sewing, how to stitch a garment, how to take the different parts of the garment and put them together, how to assemble them to make the dress come to life. This is where you learn how to sew the sleeve to the armhole. This is where how you learn to sew different kind of zippers. You learn about different closures for your outfits here. You learn about different finishing styles, different hemming styles. You also learn about facings, interfacings, and how to line a garment. This is actually a construction aspect of fashion where you just learn to put the garments together. The next subject is my favorite that I always love to learn about, and because you're always constantly learning about this next subject, you can't completely exhaust yourself. So, and it is textile and fabric. Either you call it textile or fabric or materials. This is where you learn what material is for what kind of outfit. And if you're thinking that, oh, I don't need to learn about fabrics, I don't need to, you are so wrong, because there are certain materials that cannot be used to sew on certain styles. If you are a seasoned designer, you would know this. But there are certain materials that you can't even try to sew them in a certain way. Like for instance, you can't use a chiffon material to sew a suit. You can't use a heavyweight wool, for instance, to sew a bubu style. So there are just some fabrics that don't work for certain styles. So in this course is where you learn about, the different kinds of fabrics, their textures, their weights, and how heavy they are, the lightweight fabrics, the heavyweight fabrics, you know. This is where you learn about what fabric is good for what kind of situation or what kind of style. This is also where you learn different kinds of fabric manipulations, dyeing, fabric painting. We're seeing a lot of it these days in the industry in Nigeria. Fabric painting. You learn a lot of different kinds of fabric manipulation, different kinds of finishing that fabric could have. So this is a really important aspect to learn about. So the next course would be a design and creative development course. It could be named differently across different fashion schools, but is a major fashion design course, like where you actually learn the art of designing. This is where you learn how to marry the different aspects of fashion. This is where you marry all the elements of design so that your outfits can look good. The color, the fabric, the shape, and the texture. This is where you learn how to, put a good mix of them in to make a good soup. You're going to learn a lot about the principles of fashion in this course. You're going to learn how to gather inspiration, where you can gather inspiration from, how to create your own designs, how to, develop a mood board. Here's where you learn a lot about, the design and the creative aspect of fashion, where you develop a design process yourself. So this is a very interesting and fun aspect to fashion as well. The next course, number 5 on our list, is going to be color theory. And this is something every artist needs to learn, whether it cuts across different creative spaces. It's not just in fashion. You need to learn color, and you need to know how color work together. Not just how color works together or what colors complement each other, but you need to understand shades and tints and tones. So this is very important in fashion. I think this is mostly overlooked, but it is very important for a creative process. Number 6 subject that you need to know about is draping. Well, draping comes with a lot of practice. It is how you manipulate fabric either on a mannequin in order to get a certain fit or a certain look. It requires a lot of practice, a ton of practice. Number 7 on our list is fashion history. You need to know how trends have evolved over time. You need to learn the different cultural, social, and technological influences on fashion. You need to know the different eras of fashion, because they could always be inspiring. When good to the past is always inspiring. Here's where you learn about medieval fashion, Rococo era, 20th century fashion, 19th century fashion, and so much more. It's actually a fun and exciting aspect of fashion for me as well. So the eighth subject that we're going to be talking about is fashion illustration and technical design. This is where you're going to be learning about sketching, how to render different kinds of textures, different kinds of fabric. You ask yourself, how do I illustrate for instance? How do I illustrate sequins? How do I illustrate a beading pattern? This is where you learn how to do those kind of things. It's actually one of the fun aspects of fashion for me as well. Number 9 subject on our list will be very important. The all important fashion business. You need to take a fashion business course because after you've learned all the technical aspects of fashion, you're still going to run a business anyway. So you need to learn how to cost your garment properly. You need to learn about marketing, distribution. You need to learn about product development. There's so many things, and it's quite an interesting topic as well. The 10th and final aspect is decorative design. So this is where you learn different kinds of ornamentation, different kinds of embellishments, beading, four, feathers, different kinds of applique, different kinds of embroidery and embellishments. This is a part of fashion that you require to make, give an edge to your garments, to make it look elevated. Fashion is such a broad space, and there's so many different aspects to fashion, but these are the 10 basic parts of fashion that you really absolutely need to learn about as a fashion designer. There is digital design, sustainable fashion, fashion photography, fashion styling, fashion technology. I'm sure you guys must have seen recently in the Copernicus show, in the 2022 Copernicus show, where a liquid was sprayed on to Bella Hadid, and then it became this fabric all of a sudden, just as she walked down the runway. So fashion has evolved into so many different things, and depending on what catches your interest as a designer, you are allowed to, run wild with ideas. If you've learned something new today and you want me to continue to create more videos like this, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified anytime a new video drops. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.